Right.
Well, Romano Guardini and the leaders of the liturgical movement, early 20th century, wanted to bring forward this idea of the Mass as play. The Mass is the most useless thing that we can do. And I use that language a lot. It always draws people up short. But I say, look, the Mass, which is outside of time, it's not meant to lead to anything else.
Right. It's not instrumental.
Right. And we're being drawn into precisely the dying and rising of Jesus. And so that's why it's the supreme form of play. And that's why, I put on fancy vestments and I incense and I light candles and we move around in a kind of like liturgical dance, etc. Well, all of that is expressive of play.
It's meant to play. Yeah.
Right. It's a play. Who saw that very clearly was Chesterton, who was a very playful figure. But he saw that, that kids love to dress up and they love to do. Well, there's the Mass. So we dress up in fancy garb and we carry candles around and we sing and we dance. And so, well, what's the Mass but a reflection of the prayer that was in the temple in Jerusalem, which in turn, they claim, was meant to imitate the dance of David before the ark as he comes into Jerusalem. So it's a playful dance that the church does at the summit. So we say the source and summit of the Christian life is the Eucharist. Well, there's your summum bonum, right? It's the praise that aligns us to the summum bonum, and that's a playful space to be in.
Okay, two things there. So we could say that the Mass is an attempt to dramatize the transformation of death and hell into play. That's a very difficult transformation to pull off. But you could see it as a kind of ultimate. You take the worst thing possible, and that isn't just death, because hell is worse than death. And if you don't understand that, you're kind of a fool.
The Catholic Mass is play. Bishop Barron and Jordan Peterson gave their explanations on how the Catholic Mass could be seen as a form of play. And I'd like to take this one step further by sharing my own reflection and encourage you to reflect upon it yourself and share in the comments below what you think about the Catholic Mass's play. When I think about play, I often think about my favorite game to play as a child, and still today, hide and seek. Once I learned the specific roles and rules of the game of hide and seek, I loved to simply play the game with friends. I enjoyed being able to hide quietly in a dark closet and then give little clues of where I was in order to be eventually found by someone. Hiding is good, but being found is even better. But I also love being able to find someone, give them a big hug and say, "Found you." Now, if some adult had questioned me when I was a child of why I was playing a game of hide and seek, I probably would have been at a loss for words. And rightly so, right? Because I didn't have any practical objective in mind when I decided to play a game of hide and seek. Like, I want to improve my ability to stay still underneath a bed for a long time. No, but rather because the game of hide and seek was simply fun to play. Okay, friends, every time you and I step into a Catholic church, we are entering into a play zone for the children of God. And what game do you think is being played? Hide and seek. Yes, God has set up specific roles for each of his children and detailed rules that must be followed if we are to properly play his unique version of hide and seek. And when we do actively participate and enter into the playfulness of the liturgical game of hide and seek, we get to experience a bit of the joy of heaven. Play. Eternal play of the children of God. Maybe that's one reason Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Oh, how fitting it is to describe who we must become in order to enter into the playfulness of the liturgical game of hide and seek. When we do enter into the playfulness of the game and we see it as a big game of hide and seek, if some adult would question us about, "Why do you go to Mass all the time?" we could respond with childlike curiosity and joy and freedom that, hey, We're not going for some practical objective like to fulfill my Sunday obligation or to learn something new. No, we are going because our Father in heaven wants to play with his children. Ah, what freedom that is. But there's more. This is not some frivolous or superficial or goofy game of hide and seek. No, this is the most serious form of play, the most serious game of hide and seek we can possibly participate in. Yes, at every Catholic Mass, we are reenacting, making present, renewing the greatest game of hide and seek ever played. In every Catholic Mass, the glorious Christ comes seeking you and me. He is engaged in the most serious form of play to save us from the powers of hell. He wants to find us, to hug us, to heal us, to save us and transform us. And in a paradox, he is also hiding in the most blessed sacrament so that we may take our turn to actively participate in this most serious game and to seek our blessed Lord with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength, so that when you receive him in Holy Communion, you may both be able to say at the same time, "Found you." To conclude, have you ever had the experience of hiding in the game of hide and seek, and the person who is meant to seek you gives up? It's pretty lame, right? Well, friends, God is hiding in every Catholic church. He has gone to the extreme form of humility in the Eucharist to remain in that tabernacle so that we can seek him without being afraid of saying, "Found you," when we hug the all-powerful King of heaven and earth. Don't leave him alone. He's waiting for you right now. May the idea of the Mass as a form of play inspire you to seek Jesus with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and experience the eternal play of being a child of God who's totally known, loved, and delighted in, so you may experience a foretaste of the eternal joy of heaven where we will play as children forever. God bless.